Well, hello YouTube, it's me, Fortmaster, and welcome back to another Internet Historian video. I guess technically this is another Internet Historian video, because it's actually on his incognito mode channel, and it's even fancier paintings. Yeah, so I thought the how to be fancy thing was going to be just an Internet Historian channel thing, but I mean, if they're going to be on the other channels, I mean, might as well watch them. I like Internet Historian and can't have too much of a good thing. So yeah, as always, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it yet for some reason. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day, and with all that out of the way, let's get things started then, shall we?
NordVPN isn't like the other girls.
Oh no.
Hello, incognito mode videos now. Alright, so the schedule for this mini-series goes like this. We did the main channel on theatre, then an incognito mode on painting, which is this.
Yeah.
Then there's a main channel on wine, and then an incognito mode on a bunch of stories around wine. And there's a main channel on things that people wear. There's a main channel on luxury goods, and then we round the whole thing off with 2 more incognito modes.
Oh, okay.
And then I go back into cryostasis.
Right, yeah.
This first section is on the basics of painting, and we were a little bit worried to show it because we kind of felt like this will split the audience. Not because it's political or anything, but because it's so basic. So someone who already knows
I can
something
see that
about art would be like, yeah, of course, why are you telling me this? But for someone like me, who knows practically zero about art, I found it really interesting, and I thought, why the heck haven't I been told this before, right? So, first section.
I mean, if you want to know like the basics of painting, just watch anything from Bob Ross. I mean, I've seen people, actually, what was it? I forget who it was, but they basically tried to copy what Bob Ross was doing, but did it in MS Paint. And I think what turned out was actually pretty good on top of that too, which was really cool. I really like that. I've seen a couple of people do like paint along videos, and some of their stuff actually did pretty well. So, I mean, Bob Ross wouldn't have been successful if he hadn't been onto something at the very least.
Basics of painting.
Action!
The arts. The arts. Do not put an F in front of that. Worst mistake I ever made in my life. Alright, first, some things that'll make you go, yeah, and? Or, oh, right. So look at this colorful goo. Paint.
Yeah,
delicious
definitely paint.
in both the jam and chip form. But its raw components are just 2 essential things. An undissolving pigment and a medium. Now, pigments are basically just colorful dust, and the medium is the liquidy thing that
holds it all together.
Hangs out.
Well, because like, actually, what are the mediums? Because I know obviously there's oil paint, acrylic paint. No, it can't be like actually in acrylic, right? Because obviously you have watercolors where, you know, that's literally just water. Actually, what is the medium of acrylic paint? Suspended in acrylic polymer emulsion or plasticizer, silicone oils, defoamer, stabilizer. Huh, okay, never mind. It actually is. Well, I mean, what am I saying? Of course, they wouldn't call it acrylic paint otherwise.
Now, the liquid determines what type of paint you have. Pigment plus water equals watercolors. Pigment plus glue equals acrylics. Pigment plus oil equals oil paints.
And of course, yeah, so simple, yet you get a completely different, like a completely different result from it. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but that big painting I have on the wall, that's something I painted in high school, and it was put up purely because I didn't have anything to put on the wall there. But yeah, I mean, it's high school. It's most likely acrylic paint. And I still remember it. Originally, I wanted to have like the front bow of a battleship in a submarine meeting, and you see like smoke on the horizon, but the teacher wouldn't allow me to put a battleship gun on the boat, so it's just a boat and a submarine. So, what are you gonna do? But then, above my computer here, I have this metal plate, which I wouldn't be surprised if it was like the original picture was oil painted. And like, you just look at them, granted there's several years of actual experience into the actual painting process, but just like how that looks versus how that looks just from the texture wise of the paint. I mean, materials is an important choice in all of this.
And Pigment Plus, moving on.
Yeah.
The pigment does not dissolve into the medium. Instead, it's just kind of suspended in it.
I believe, wait a second, would that be called? No, that wouldn't be called an emulsion, would it? Yeah, never mind. Emulsion is like when you have two liquids that normally wouldn't mix, like water and oil, like actually mixing. Like, oh wait, actually like mayonnaise. Yeah, mayonnaise is an emulsion. That's where I've heard that word from.
Pigment does dissolve into a medium. That's a dye. So that's the basic difference. Now, you have to transfer the paint onto the canvas. To do that, we need to talk tools.
Oh, yeah, very important.
First, you can just use your fingers. It was good enough for the cavemen, and it's good enough for your mom. So it's good enough for us. Then we tried brushes. Now, here is the anatomy of a brush. You've got the handle, the bristles, the ferrule, and the crimp.
I mean, I can understand like that whole thing being called the ferrule, but why is the crimp its own thing? Because I mean, obviously it's crimped so that it actually stays on the brush handle, but you would think that it's just the ferrule, that's the section of the ferrule that has been crimped as a verb, not crimp as in a noun. I am thinking way too hard about this, aren't I?
Now, the bristles are the most important bit.
Oh,
First,
yes.
we were just using mangled up reeds called fronds, but they got really good once we started using animal hair. Have a look at some of the animals we used. Boar, taken from the neck or the back of the pig. That is the kind of brush that Van Gogh used, and it's still the gold standard for today. A goat brush. It's good, but it's not the goat. Lacks some spring, so it's mostly used for calligraphy. Badger.
Oh, okay.
Now that's actually
Badger.
mostly used for shaving, not painting at all. Horse, raccoon, and wolf, also not great quality.
Out of all the stuff, okay. I'm sorry, we're like less than 3.5 minutes into this, and I've already paused this video so many times. But out of all the things that the pig has given us, because I know like the pig gives a lot. Like one, it's delicious, but then two, you also get like heart valve transplants, and stuff like that. But the fact that pig hair is like good for paintbrushes, that is so weird. I would have never guessed that.
But what's the worst quality of all? You know, the gutter oil of the brush world. Well, the worst quality is camel hair brushes. And they're mostly sold as arts and crafts brushes for kids.
Oh, okay.
But the weird thing is, camel hair is so low quality that it's not even used in brushes at all. Huh? Yes, so-called camel hair brushes are actually made from cats and rabbits and squirrels. But that makes people kind of sad. So they changed the name to a much less cute animal, and also one that's kind of exotic, so you wouldn't question it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be weirded out by like using like cat or squirrel or something like that. I mean, squirrel, they're really a pest. I mean, they breed like crazy. It's gonna be really hard like time killing them off, as it were. But cats, certain breeds of cat, all you have to do is like shave them and the hair is already long enough.
Now, what's the best brush of all? What is the S tier of brushes? Those are made from sable.
Oh my god, this, of course. 10 out of 10.
Now, sable is a type of weasel. These are hunted for their fur for clothing.
It's him.
But when they catch them to make clothes, they actually only want the body for the clothes, and so they discard the tail altogether. But those tails have the best hair for paintbrushes, and so they are snatched up by the brush makers. Now, the hair is special because it has an interlocking scales that vastly increases the surface area, but it also holds strong in the long term. Firm and bouncy, but also soft.
It's smooth, it bounces.
Of course.
Only with new Tresemme Keratin Smooth.
And they
Low
sell
sulfate
for
sable hair.
of $300 a brush.
Well, I mean, I swear, in videos like this, I know that there's always like an extreme upper end to almost any product you can buy. But still, I still get shocked seeing like the price of some things, like $350, and that's probably in US dollars. It'd be more expensive for me, but get like $350 for a paintbrush. Granted, I mean, if you are like a painter by trade and you actually make like paintings for like, the rich and famous, I don't know who buys paint, who actually like commissions paintings. But I mean, like, of course, you want to use the best tools and all that, but still, that's nuts. Granted, I mean, a stout tail, not that big, but I mean, how many hairs do you need to make a paintbrush? Okay, what's next?
All right, here's a top 10 list, sort of maybe Watch Mojo style,
Oh, no.
of the most famous paintings, and just a few interesting things about them that you may not know.
Okay.
Pop quiz, sports shoe wearer. Look at this painting. What does it make you feel?
It makes me feel that whoever bought that paid way too much because it looks like somebody sneezed.
Too late. Or if you answered in time, wrong answer. Happy, sad. I bet those are the only two emotions you even know. The correct answer is shame, because you are embarrassing yourself. You know nothing about the arts. So it is time to look at the best paintings to ever exist. And let's begin with the most obscure of them all. Whoever this is.
Mona Lisa, right. Love it. So, actually, I'm pretty sure this is what he's going to be talking about, but primarily, the reason why the Mona Lisa got so popular was because somebody stole it. Before it was put in behind the gate and put in like a locked glass vase, it was just hung on the wall like any other painting. And I'm forgetting, but somebody like they broke into the museum, stole the painting, and I'm forgetting the full story, but like the guy was found because he had taken off one of the crystal doorknobs and he had thrown it away, and of course he left his fingerprints on it because he wasn't wearing gloves. Granted, this was in like 1912, so I think fingerprinting was generally a new technology at the time, so he wouldn't have really thought of it, but still.
The Mona Lisa. Now, I thought it went first name Mona, last name Lisa. Check it out. But turns out, Mona is an honorific, meaning madam, so it's Madam Lisa.
Oh,
Now, relatively
okay.
recently, historians have figured out who she actually is.
Wait,
and
really?
they found out that she's married to a Florentine merchant, Francesco del Giocondo. So that makes her Lisa del Gioconda, and that explains the alternative title of the work, La Gioconda.
Oh,
Now, the reason
I mean, when you put it like that, that's really simple.
she has her arms crossed and is a little bit chubby is because she's pregnant. In fact, you can kind of see that she's wearing a veil, and that particular type of veil was worn by pregnant women at the time. Her husband commissioned the painting when Da Vinci was already well known, so it would have been very expensive, and that makes it very funny for a couple of reasons. One, it was never handed over to the family. Instead, Leo left it in his will to his apprentice. And two, because for a couple of hundred years, the prevailing theory was that she was not an aristocratic wife, but instead a prostitute.
Okay.
Her hair being down and her almost absent eyebrows were common traits of working girls at the time. Anyway, why is this painting so famous? Well, Da Vinci was already pretty famous, and the painting got stolen. This
what was I
became a
saying?
very big news story, and her face suddenly started getting plastered on a whole bunch of newspapers and wanted posters, making her very recognizable. From there, she became the most famous painting, which is why she always looks so smug. Starry Night, Vincent van Gogh.
Smug.
Yeah, I sure hope it does.
Painted while he was in the St. Paul's Musol Asylum. That's here. And this was the view from his bedroom window. Here is the real view a few decades later. He chose not to paint the metal bars. Now, you can see that there are 11 stars in the sky here. Supposedly, that's reference to Joseph from the Bible. Joseph, he had a hard life. The minivan, he had a hard life too.
The minivan?
And he hoped that he would be remembered at least once he was gone. Like Joseph. And you know what? It worked out for him because everybody remembers Van Gogh and nobody remembers the guys who bullied him and called him a ginger. Also, there's kind of a theory that he was killed by some kid. Go check out Wendigoon's channel for more information on that one.
Wait, really?
The birth of Venus.
Ah,
Right,
yes.
let me tell you what's happening in this one. So, there's this lady, Venus. She
Yep.
is the goddess of beauty. And she is
Daughter of
coming
Poseidon.
out of the ocean in a big clam, right? Now, the clam is not a metaphor for her vagina. It's that she is the perfect pearl. Get it? Now, these two here are a divine wind. They are blowing her like a hot spoonful of soup towards the shore. And she is carried
Okay.
all the way over to the beach. And this beach, by the way, is a real place called Paphos. It's in Cyprus. Here is what it looks like in real life.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. There are a lot of like places in myth and legend don't have don't have a concrete location where they happened, or have like many different places where it could have happened. You don't hear very many of it where it's like, oh, it was at this beach right here.
Now, when she arrives on the beach, a nymph shows up, which is this lady here, and she has a cloak, and she throws the cloak over Venus, and she says, "You know what? You're very special. One day they're gonna name a 4-blade razor after you."
Right, of course.
Arrangement in black and grey #1. Also known as Whistler's mother. Most famous for its appearance in the Mr. Bean movie. Now, when Whistler's mother originally agreed to be painted, she agreed to be painted standing up, but she had to pose for so long that eventually she got quite tired and had to sit down. Here you go. And that became the famous pose. The Garden of Earthly Delights. Alright, this one is probably my favorite because it looks like a Where's Waldo, and then the whole thing just goes completely off the rails. So, Mr. Hieronymus, that's a name that's going to make a comeback, is doing all of this cool surreal stuff about 500 years ago. So let's start on the left.
Wait, isn't it? Yeah, wait a second. I remember seeing this painting. It was one of the. Oh, what was the name of the game? I played it a while ago. It was like a point-and-click adventure game, but all of the actual assets in the game were old paintings and stuff. That was really cool. Oh, what was it called? I'm gonna have. That's gonna be killing me now. If I remember, I'll get the corner card in the to link it up.
Here is Adam and Eve and the pre-incarnation of Jesus. And they are all hanging out in the garden.
Pre-incarnation of
what's
Jesus,
going on in the
okay.
middle bit? That's harder to explain. The best theory is either that this is Eden, if people were allowed back into the garden, or if they had never left in the first place, or if man had not committed original sin. But look at the size of that strawberry. Oh, here he is. Then on the right-hand panel is hell. Or at least a very bad time. This is where Oddlaw would end up, that son of a bitch.
Of course he would.
Now, here's the interesting bit. It's not painted on a typical canvas. It's actually a sort of cabinet thing with 3 panels called a triptych. And the neat thing is, if you close the doors, more painting.
Oh!
That is the earth, and that is the firmament.
Oh, right, yeah, that's the old... Is that how the earth is described in the Bible? Like, what was it? The firmament, if I remember correctly, is supposedly like a wall that, keeps, the rain, the water from the sky from coming down onto the ground or something. It's really weird.
A perfect balance between flat earth and globe theory. A Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grangette.
Oh, yeah,
This thing is pretty big. And here's the real-life place it was painted after.
Fun fact, first time I ever saw this painting was in the, Looney Tunes Back in Action, I think it was? Yeah, it was in Looney Tunes Back in Action, because I remember that, it was Bugs and Elmer Fudd. They were going in and out of paintings, and Elmer Fudd came out of the painting still in, that speckled form of art, and Bugs just kind of had, a fan or something and blew him away, and, he disintegrated.
Although they've beautified it even more with the office building at the back. What you may not know is that it is actually a sequel. First, George Seurat painted the left bank, and that's where all the working class sit. You see these guys that, have a bit less money and stuff.
Yeah,
Gross.
of course.
And then This is the one that you all know, and that is on the right-hand bank.
Yeah.
And all these people are
Or
very
all the people
bougie
with the
sort.
money.
That is Scrappy-Doo. And that's a monkey.
Yes.
The Last Supper. Okay, so the scene is this. All the disciples are gathered around, and this is the exact moment that Jesus declares, hey, by the way,
One of you's gonna kill you.
betrayed me. And this is everyone's shocked reaction to the news. Except there's one guy who's just pretending to be shocked. And here is who everyone is. I thought this was Mary, by the way. Turns out that's John. Very progressive. And that's all of the paintings, and no one has attempted one since.
Yeah. What next?
And I wake up. Quickly, flip the Nord logo, Mariana's Trench. Flip it the other way, 3 pyramids.
Oh,
There's not much time. I gotta log into NordVPN so the corporations can't track me. Marketing companies gang stalking me, listening to me through the walls. We found the death note.
oh no.
Wake up again. I don't have much time. The feds are at my door. Open up. I refuse
Still?
to take my Nord milk pills. I wake up again. The demon in the corner of my room wants to access my NordVPN. I let him, because I can use it on up to 6 different devices.
Thanks, Nordman.
I know the corporations are building profiles on me. I go to Facebook, I go to Wikipedia, then suddenly I'm getting ads for feet on my Facebook. Big feet, big foot, big pharma. On Tuesday, I saw a red car. Coincidence? Huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus months.
Big red
4
button.
sides to a triangle. Coincidence? There's a guy reacting to my life in the corner right now. 30-day money-back guarantee? What's the goddamn catch? Time's going faster than usual, and only a limited time to get a great deal on a 2-year plan. I wake up again. It's the perfect Christmas present.
Who are you?
Wait a minute. My family died in a suspicious house fire. Skinwalker
Of course
in my
they
house
did.
changed location to Finland. Different regions have different prices on plane tickets and hotels. That ain't even a conspiracy. I take more microplastics so I can see through the ether.
We're coming in, Nordman.
Pizza time.
But they're too late. I click Hyperborea and I am untouchable.
No!
If you understood anything that happened in this ad, go to nordvpn.com/incognito to
I did not. I'm very sorry.
get a huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus months. Ad over. All right, so this one is about how to spot a fake painting. I quite
okay.
like this section, but it kind of got bogged down by all of its technical information, and it went quite long. So, here it is, for the discerning audience. How to spot a fake painting. Glug, glug, glug. Oh my god. Is that a real Michelangelo?
Oh.
We're here now. Quick hypothetical lower tax brackets. If paintings like this one or this one go for literally gajillions of dollars, that's USD, then what's to stop someone from doing this? Then this, and then this, then this, and then saying it's real when it ain't. You know, faking a painting.
The police.
Turns out, not much at all. In fact, it can be very difficult to tell these fake-ass paintings from the ones that keep it real. There's a whole ass art to detecting these fakes, and it's become an arms race, where the authenticators find new ways of detecting, and the fakers find new ways to get around their
It's
methods.
always an arm race.
Technology's advanced. Do you think that makes it harder to make good forgeries?
Nah, you can beat the forensics.
So, authentication. There are 3 main categories: provenance, connoisseurship, forensics.
Okay.
Let's start in alphabetical order. Provenance. Now, provenance follows the history of the painting, tracking down the previous sellers and the buyers, all the galleries that exhibited it, the hand-to-hand that it was passed through, all the way back to the original painter.
Okay, yeah, I
However,
guess that
older
makes the
work,
most sense.
The harder it is, generally, to track the provenance.
Yeah.
Take, for example, the most expensive painting ever sold, the Salvator Mundi, the final Da Vinci, sold in 2017 for $400 million.
That's a lot of scratch.
Only be traced back to 1958. Back then, it was sold for £45.
Oh.
But in the other 500 years of its history, no one knew where this thing was. Even today, people still dispute whether it's genuine.
So wait, do they have absolutely no idea who the guy who sold it for $45 is?
It's a real flim flam.
And this is a made-up piece of junk.
I think it's fake art news.
Real in drag.
And it turns up in America? In New Orleans? Oh, I see. I think we've wished.
Who is this guy?
Into existence. Here's the lost Leonardo that somebody once mentioned in a book.
Provenance has gotten a lot easier over time. You used to have to track down books and read catalogs and stuff, but now it's all online. Control plus
Yay!
F, there it is.
Struggling
So you
art.
see, kid, there's nothing online. Nothing. Tell me who you bought this from, you son of a bitch. Where did you get this? Tell me the name of the auction house that sold you it. Connoisseurship.
Okay, what does this mean?
Let's see work. Do you believe what you are seeing? How does it look? How does it taste? Are these ballpoint pen strokes those of a master artist? Luckily, there are people like Martin Kemp, who spend their whole careers focusing on single artists.
I've been dealing with Leonardo for, I suppose, about 50 years.
They can pick out the fakes. So, for example, when he was looking at La Bella Principessa, he went, yup, he uses the Trois Crayons. He's a left-handed artist. The proportions of the head and the face are all correct. You know what? I'm going to give this a big rubber stamp right there in the middle of the painting. Confirmed.
I'm just thinking, if somebody actually did that in real life, they would be literally hanged.
So, for the fakers, they have to have a keen understanding of who they are copying. One of the best fakers, Almir de Hore, for example, mastered the brushstrokes of artists such as Matisse, Modigliani, and Renoir so well that hundreds of museums are currently in possession of his works, without even knowing it. Yes, well, Michelangelo was famous for his Cangiante painting techniques, and I can't see any of that here. You're 0 for 2, kid. You're going down. Forensics. This thing's going straight to the lab. You're about to have a paint brush up with the law. Masterpiece? More like you're a real masterpiece of shit, kid.
Okay, so wait, the whole thing with like painting forensics, this I actually do know. Because I've seen a couple of things where they talk about this. I think specifically about like Da Vinci and stuff like that. But they've been able to use like both X-rays and MRIs and stuff to like see past the layers of the paint. And I think I remember one, not Da Vinci, but I think, what was it? It was the painting depicting Napoleon when he was crowned emperor of France. Underneath the current painting, they found a previous picture where his wife Josephine was being crowned by the was it the Pope? I forget who. But then the topmost layer, it was done. It was remade so that Napoleon himself was the crowning Josephine, Empress of France. So it's like all sorts of stuff like that.
Fuck you. All right, now the people that solve murders have really changed the game when it comes to art forgeries by implementing radiocarbon dating.
That too, I completely forgot about that one.
Carbon dating, yeah, but it's not serious. Listen, you're made out of carbon, I'm made out of carbon. Paintings are made out of carbon.
Yep.
And when a thing is made out of carbon, there are these unusual isotopes of carbon-14, right? They're floating all throughout the air and the atmosphere. Now, all living things contain a trace of them. They are taken in when something eats, breathes, anything else. And that happens continuously throughout the life cycle. However,
yeah, exactly.
When the organism dies, it stops taking in new carbon, right? Which means it stops taking in new carbon-14. Same thing happens to a painting. You've stopped putting paint on the thing, no more carbon. Carbon-14 is an unstable isotope, and it decays at a very steady rate. Poof. It turns into nitrogen-14 and a beta particle.
Beta!
And because these carbon-14 atoms decay at a very steady rate, in principle, you can look at the proportional number of carbon-14 atoms and determine how old something is. More carbon-14, newer painting. Less carbon-14, older painting.
Though I doubt we've ever seen a painting, besides one maybe in a cave, that was you know, almost 23,000 years old.
In 1985, using this technique, they caught a guy, Robert Trotter, who forged a Sarah Hon painting. Ah, far too many carbon-14 atoms. Lock 'em up, boys. But there are even simpler
Get him
methods
outta
of
here.
testing the age of a pigment. 3 Jackson Pollock paintings were found to be fake when it was determined that the pigments on the canvas weren't sold until the 1960s.
Oh,
But
yeah, that would
Pollock
be a
was
problem.
dead by 1956. Nowadays, there are huge pigment libraries that can be easily cross-referenced.
Carbon
so that shows
black.
the year a pig.
wait, so 2 kinds of black? Really? Carbon black and bone black? Umber, yeah. Red ochre, yellow ochre, which is, you know, orange. Lime, white. No, yeah, with actual, like, lime, yeah, not the fruit.
Pigment was first introduced, and what year it stopped being used. For example, anything that has titanium white has to have been produced in the last 80 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you, kid. Michelangelo never used the yellow Crayola. X-rays. Now,
I thought
can
you said they
blast
were
this thing with
ballpoint
some
pens.
radiation and look behind the painting to see what's underneath.
Exactly what I was talking
did
about.
the artist do a sketch first? Maybe this is painted over something else. If you look behind the Mona Lisa, you can actually see that she had a much larger head once, although maybe it just shrunk with age. And you can see that veil much more easily. Also, if you x-ray even further, you can see her fully formed skeleton. But
I can completely understand, you know, putting sketches and stuff so you actually see where you're going to be painting. But fully painting a skeleton underneath what you're going to... That is weird.
the art forgers of today are a wily bunch. Forgers can source old canvases from the correct period. They can use error-matching pigments. Even the carbon dating can be a bit unreliable. Heck, even the X-rays can be bullshitted, as forgers take into account that their work will be X-rayed, as they do a sort of fake painting or sketch first, and then paint the next version on top. Alright kid, I'll give you $20,000 for this, or a shiny new bottle of Ritalin. Works every time.
Yeah, I take the 20,000.
This section is about Shakespeare. Wow, that would make so much sense for it to be in the theatre video on the main channel.
Wait, what? Why?
This dude showed up and changed the game.
Wait, is he going to be talking about the actual painting of Shakespeare? Because if I remember correctly, I don't think, like, the picture we all associate... Because if I remember correctly, I think the painting we all associate with being, like, Shakespeare was actually just some random, like, duke or something. I don't think we actually have a picture of what Shakespeare looks like.
Shakespeare. Here's the thing, though. We basically know nothing about him. First, we don't know what he looked like. There are two best guesses. One is from this engraving on a first folio, but that wasn't put together until 7 years after he was already dead. One of his peers, Ben Jonson, knew him though and said, yeah, it's pretty close. So maybe. The second is a bust that was made for his grave. There are a bunch of others, but they weren't commissioned by Shakespeare himself. They weren't done while he was alive.
They were
and
done
he didn't exactly stop to pose for them. But these are the ones we most recognize him by. This includes Chandos, which is probably the most recognizable. So this could be him, or this could be some completely other dude, or it could be an idealized version. Now, we also don't know exactly when he was born, or when he died, or how he died. His birthday is celebrated on the 23rd of April, but there's no record of that. And then he died on the 23rd of April as well. So he died on his birthday? Odd coincidence.
Yeah,
but
pretty
we know
bad.
that he did marry a lady named Anne Hathaway. Yes, same as Catwoman, but this one was the original. We also don't even really know how to spell his name. There are tons of different signatures by him, but they're practically all spelt differently. And let's not even get started on the conspiracies of whether or not he really wrote his plays.
Yeah, I've heard that whole thing before, because, like, I think the story goes that Shakespeare wasn't like a in a wealthy family, so then he wouldn't have had like the reason to learn how to read, and like then why would he even try or whatever. It all sucks.
The son of two illiterate parents from a lower-class neighborhood suddenly becoming the world's greatest playwright? Bit suspicious. Also, whether he was gay, or worse, whether he was foreign, or what the hell is going on with his grave? So if you go to the Holy Trinity Church in Stratford, there is his grave. There he lays, but there is an engraving above him. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he who moves my bones. Cursed, you see. You're not allowed to dig him up. So everyone is super spooked out by the curse, and they refuse to dig him up. So archaeologists instead have done radar scans. Turns out,
there's nothing
his
there.
Head is missing. He was grave robbed in 1794. So
Wait,
we can't
really?
even reconstruct him that way. And they won't open it up for DNA tests. So it's likely that we will never know the truth.
Okay. What was it? I remember I watched a video once talking about, I think, like Middle English linguistics, and asking the question how Shakespeare actually talked. I watched this like a while ago, but I do remember one part of it that actually a funny part of his plays are because the language has evolved and the way certain words sounds has changed. Certain parts of Shakespeare's plays have stopped working quite as well because there was a wordplay in the original writings and the original way it was pronounced that just doesn't exist anymore unless you specifically speak it with the original pronunciations and original inflections.
Good friend, for Jesus' sake forbear to dig the dust and close it ere. Not here, ere. Just one of many rhymes that, well, they aren't rhymes anymore.
The government is hiding something.
Of course,
the point is, Shakespeare stole the theatre at one point. Okay, quick Shakespeare moment.
Wait, what do you mean stole theatre?
Shakespeare was working as a playwright with his acting troupe called the Lord Chamberlain's Men. Now, they were leasing out a theatre in Shoreditch called the Theatre.
The Theatre, okay.
Anyway, they had a disagreement with the landlord, Giles Allen. Giles revoked their lease. Shakespeare and the Chamberlain's Men were not very happy about that, but they had no option but to walk away. But a few days later, in the dead of night, they came back. Now the group...
Wait, are you saying they literally stole the theater itself? Like, they took it to a different location?
Met up just outside the theater, and they had bribed the watchman to look the other way. Then, with daggers and tools in hand, they broke into the theater. Now, they weren't there to kill Giles, and they weren't there to steal stuff from the theater. No. They were there to rob the theater. They tore down the entire building, piece by piece, and they started carting it away to a warehouse. From there, they ferried it across the Thames and over to Southwark. With the materials that they stole, they constructed the Globe Theatre. And there it stood for the next 14 years until it burnt down. Whoops. It was...
methinks possible revenge?
The performance of Henry VIII, and a prop cannon was involved. Don't worry about that. But then it was rebuilt. But then in 1642 it was shut down again.
Aww.
But in 1997, a recreation of the Globe Theatre was made once more. And in London you can visit it today. As long as you can avoid being stabbed. And now for the best section of all.
Come on, people, we're ready to shoot. Where's the pizza box with the hole in it?
Oh, never mind, that's my cue. I gotta go. Catch you soon.
Wait, pizza box with a hole in it? Oh. Again, it's one of those things where every topic, it can look so simple to an outsider. But then, as soon as you just start scratching away the surface and try to learn more of it, it starts getting much more deep very quickly. I mean, even like at the beginning of the video, it's like simple stuff like the composition of paints and and paint brushes, and that going to us not really knowing for sure if we even have the proper likeness for Shakespeare. It's all that sort of stuff is just absolutely fascinating. This is the reason I do really love Internet Historian. I love his stuff. He's funny and, you know, also informative. A wonderful combination. So yeah, as always, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day. And I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.